NFL regular season is coming to an end. We're starting to get into the semifinals of the college football playoff. We are getting into wildcard weekend. Whew, it's final stretch, man. It's surreal. But we're going to get through it together. Once again, thank you guys so much for your support throughout this entire journey. We have come a very, very long way. And I just have to say, you guys are awesome, man, for showing your support. And I had a lot of fun making this series for this season. And as far as the future of this goes, I'm definitely going to have to think long and hard about what I'm going to do. But anyways, welcome back to Grizzly Talks Football. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some great news. We are doing NFL playoff team rankings and wildcard predictions. That's right, we are doing some more rankings. I haven't done this in a long time. That was at the start of the season when I was picking division winners. And boy, for most of those divisions, I sucked. This is why they're only predictions. You don't know until the very end who wins the divisions and who doesn't. It's basically that simple. But anyways, we are ranking every single playoff team along with deciding who's going to win each of the wildcard matchups today. Again, if you are new to this series, I will make sure to leave a link in the description with the entire playlist of episodes so you can watch every single one and you're all caught up. And you'll also have it for future episodes whenever I post them, including this season, and I'll make a new playlist for next season. Also, make sure you hit that red subscribe button down there. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Make sure you smash that like button as well. Without further ado, let's get to some rankings. Yeah, so before we get into the wildcard prediction, we first have to rank every single one of these 14 playoff teams. So I'm going to sort these out into 4 categories. We got Super Bowl contenders, conference championship contenders, some teams that may win a playoff game, and other teams that will be one playoff game and done. As in, they're going to play in one and just be eliminated. Anyways, let's get started. I know every single one of these NFL teams are on here. I understand that, but don't worry. I'm going to make sure I take care of that as soon as possible. So kicking things off, we got the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, come on. Is there really even a question? They're absolutely Super Bowl contenders. Look, I know that they had some ugly losses. They lost to the Browns. They lost to the Raiders. They lost to some bad teams, but when they go against good teams, they turn it up a notch. I mean, come on, they made it close with a 15-2 Kansas City squad. They completely destroyed the 2 seed in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills. I believe it was like 35-10. And yeah, man, they are one of the best teams for sure. Let me tell you, they got 2 candidates for offensive player of the year, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's an MVP candidate for absolutely. I think he is my MVP. Here's why. The top 3 MVP candidates are Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you a good stat to think about. In the 3 matchups that Lamar Jackson faced against those 2 candidates, he beat all of them. He beat both of them in the 3 matchups he played against them. Just something to consider. As much as the pass defense has been struggling, the rush defense has been very solid, and their defense is definitely getting better. As the time progresses, these defenses that are supposed to be terrible in these playoff teams are actually getting a lot better. I can't wait to see what this team does. It's literally between them and 2 other teams in the AFC. The other 4 teams, I'm sorry, you have no chance in the conference championship game. Or divisional round, rather. Next up, we got the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, I'm not going to even think for a split second. They are absolutely Super Bowl contenders. I mean, there's no question about it. MVP candidate Josh Allen, a defense that I consider to be terrible, and they turned out to be absolutely incredible. Despite a very mid-average receiving core, Josh Allen has been able to make it work, especially with the run game with James Cook. Including a very solid offensive line, he was able to beat Kansas City, hand them one of 2 only losses. That's a very good feat, especially for the regular season. The big question is for this team, can Josh Allen and the Bills get it done when it mattered most, and go to a Super Bowl and potentially win it? That is going to be the big question that will be answered when that time comes in the AFC Championship, whether it's them going against Kansas City or maybe another team. Who knows? Up next, I believe we have the Denver Broncos. I'm going alphabetical order by city, by the way, just so you know. Yeah, sorry, Denver. You had a very good story about your season. First time making the playoffs since 2015. Unfortunately, you guys are going to be one and dones. Here's the thing. It's great to be a playoff team. Like, you get a lot of good revenue for it, too, but considering the matchup they got against, their odds of winning that game are very slim. Now, I know the Broncos beat the Bills last year with Russell Wilson, of all people. However, this is a different Buffalo Bills team. In fact, in my opinion, I think this might be a better team than what was last year. So this is not the same Buffalo Bills team that the Broncos beat last year, so I have really little faith in the Broncos to pull off a big upset. But if you know anything about Green Bay, a 7 seed can't be a 2 seed at any point. Like, it can happen. It's just going to take a miracle for Denver. Up next, we got the Detroit Lions. Yeah, there's literally no debating whatsoever. They are absolutely a Super Bowl contender. It's literally going to be between them and the Eagles to really contend for a Super Bowl. Like, seriously. Like, Minnesota, like, they're 14-3, but they did not do well against Detroit. Like, if the Vikings had to go against Detroit, they're fucked. Like, they are screwed. Let me tell you, despite all the injuries, the Lions have a really good shot at potentially making a Super Bowl. I think they can make the NFC Championship. Let's just hope they don't have to play Philadelphia, because if they play Philadelphia, they could be eliminated. Yeah, like, despite all the setbacks, like the injuries and stuff, they did lose to a Tampa Bay team that was, like, fully healthy. That was not a bad loss at all. Neither was the Bills game. They played some very solid and good teams. They lost to some really good teams, like, when they're healthy. Like, this Lions team is the best in franchise history, and I could see why. Next up, we got the Green Bay Packers. Here's the thing. Like, before I found out about the injuries to Jordan Love and Christian Watson, I thought maybe they might win a playoff game. I'm not so sure about Jordan Love's health, and Christian Watson's out for the season. Yeah, considering that they had to play Philadelphia and the fact that they lost to the Bears, yeah, they might be one and done anyway. It's really not their fault entirely. I mean, the result of the game really screwed them over because they ended up getting a lower seed. However, the fact that they had to play against Philadelphia was a very bad draw. I thought this team would actually clinch the NFC North, but safe to say, Dan Campbell really made me eat my words. Like, thanks, Dan. But Green Bay is still a solid team. Like, don't get me wrong, they're still very solid. It's just, there are just so many teams better than the Packers right now. Lions and Eagles are literally going to be the two teams that could really contend for the NFC crown. Nothing against Green Bay. They are a great historical team. It's just, this year, the injuries and setbacks have really been a big disaster. And I'm not too sure about Jordan Love. Maybe they may have a chance against Philadelphia if he plays, but I'm not counting on it. Up next, we got the Houston Texans. I'm sorry, I gotta be on board with their one and done. Nothing against them, it's just they have not been playing like their true selves lately. This was a huge step back from C.J. Stroud's rookie season when he won Rookie of the Year and won a playoff game against a Browns team that was led by Joe Flacco. This team, I thought maybe was supposed to be better, but apparently they got worse. Not by too much, though. Except, yeah, they're the lowest seed of the divisional champions. Like, the AFC divisional champions, they are dead last in all of that. They're 10-7. I mean, it could happen that Houston finally wakes up and plays some football, but I'm not stoked on that. Next up is the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, there's literally no question. I mean, they're the 1 seed, they're 15-2, like, they didn't suffer very many losses. Their players are taking 24 days of bed rest. That's still going on. There are literally a ton of reasons why the Chiefs are literally having a great chance of 3-peating. But here's the thing. The last undefeated team of every season since 2007 did not win a Super Bowl so far. So maybe they might not even win that Super Bowl. Who knows? But let me tell you something, Kansas City. You made a deal with the devil in this season to even win all those games by 1 score, keeping it close. Like, you almost lost to Carolina of all teams. You almost lost to Las Vegas. Like, come on. Like, you can't do that. Let me tell you something. You make a deal with the devil, you better repent because God's got a special plan for you. And he might make sure that you guys never win a Super Bowl like that again. He might put a curse on you. Who knows? But Kansas City, you better repent. Otherwise, you might not like the results. Up next, we got the LA Chargers. I know you can't see it because my face cam is blocking it. But here's the thing. Like, I would make a list with all 14 teams on there. But I'm just too lazy to do that, honestly. But anyways, about the Chargers, I'm thinking they might win a playoff game. Yeah, like, the Chargers had a really good draw about getting the 5 seed playing Houston. They've got a solid defense. Offense is starting to get better. Like, this team can definitely win a playoff game. Maybe even 2, but it's really not likely. Especially again, if it has to be against Buffalo or Baltimore. Yeah, the Chargers might be screwed. You know, at least they're going to probably win a playoff game. Justin Herbert had barely anybody to throw to. He had Quentin Johnston and Lam McConkey, sometimes Will Disley. Thankfully for him, the defense has definitely been doing its job all season. And they got themselves in the playoffs. Great for them. This really is because I'm not really stoked on Houston right now, if I'm going to be honest with you. Up next is the Los Angeles Rams. Let me tell you, the odds are not completely against them, but I gotta be honest, between these two conference championship contenders that may win a playoff game, I think the Rams could be serious conference championship contenders if the cards fall the right way. This team is super underrated. Like, they had a bad start due to injuries, but they were able to bounce back and not only win the division, but also make a playoffs. Like it should have been the other way around, but you know what I mean. Nobody in the NFC really wants to play this team because this team is scary good. I mean, come on, they just beat the Bills this season. And the Bills were one of the elite teams in the NFL. Like, this team is scary to play against. I mean, come on, a goated receiving core. Well, basically 2 receivers. Kyron Williams, who has been getting touchdowns for pretty much every game of the season. Matt Stafford has been coming to a league of his own ever since he left Detroit. I mean, he was great in Detroit, but he started making some great playoff runs as a Ram, and I can't be more proud of him. And the defense is criminally underrated. They got some good defensive backs, including Cam Kitchens. Defensive line is great with Jerry Verse and Braden Fisk, like the linebackers could use some work, but that defense is criminally underrated, and you better not sleep on those Rams because they could strike a nail in a coffin. Next up is the Minnesota Vikings. That is the Rams' opponent, and I gotta say, they could be conference championship contenders as well. Like, 2 conference championship contenders in 1 wild card matchup. Let me tell you, one of these teams could make a conference championship. We just have to see how everything turns out. I know Jalen Hurts is very much injured. Yeah, he could play in the wildcard game against Green Bay, but once he returns, this offense could be dead. That Philadelphia offense could be deadly. But Minnesota, I can't really underrate them at all, because as much as I dislike Sam Darnold because of his years with the Jets and the Panthers, he's been rock solid with Minnesota. Huge credit to KOC, Kevin O'Connell, for helping him become way better quarterback than he was in his previous years combined. This matchup is basically, you're either going to the conference championship or you're going to make it close with the team that you're facing in the divisional round. Both of these teams in my eyes are definitely conference championship contenders. Up next, speak of the devil, the Philadelphia Eagles. Assuming Jalen Hurts is able to come back soon, these guys are definitely Super Bowl contenders. This is one of the best teams they've assembled yet. The free agency signing of Saquon already turned out great. 2,000 yards in one season with Philadelphia. The defense is absolutely amazing. The offense, throwing and running, it's spectacular. This is one of the most complete teams in this entire NFL playoffs. Let me tell you, if Eagles and Lions get matched up at the NFC Championship, I gotta say, Philly might win that game. Not because the Eagles are a better team, it's more of the fact that the Lions just have a couple of injuries that are just stinging them right now. But that just shows how good Philly's team is. Like, they had a 2-2 start, I get it. But then they won 12 of their last 13 games after that. Like, they got hot when they needed to, and it turned out they are on a mission right now. From first round exits to potential Super Bowl contenders, like, this team definitely got better, and I'm excited to see this run this Philadelphia team is going to make. Up next, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not stoked on the Steelers, honestly. I think they're just one and done. Like, they're playing Baltimore. Baltimore killed them at home last time they played against each other. And that was like a month ago. They had a solid start, I will say, as far as Pittsburgh goes. Justin Fields started out, and he started out hot. And then they decided to make the switch on Russell Wilson. It was still good. But if I gotta be honest, I think Justin Fields is the better quarterback as of right now. It's not because of Russell Wilson's ability to pass. It's more of the fact that Russell Wilson's not as mobile as he used to be. Like, he's getting older. Justin Fields is actually a very young quarterback. If he can improve his passing, he should be good to go. But then I haven't even talked about the defense. One of the best defenses this season, especially with TJ Watt. I'm not sure about his condition. I'm not exactly sure if the Steelers can beat the Ravens even with TJ Watt, because the offense could struggle. We know damn well they're going to struggle in the run game. It really comes down to the passing game. If the Pittsburgh Steelers can get a good rhythm going in the passing game, they might be able to keep up with Baltimore and eventually win. We got 2 teams left. We got 12 so far, and now we are on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fuck Tampa Bay. They signed Tom Brady just to fuck us over, and now Baker Mayfield is digging in our grave even though we beat this man twice. Let me say to you, Tampa Bay could win a playoff game. Like, I'm on that side. Not one and done. No. I don't even think for a minute that Tampa Bay is going to be one and done. No chance. Let me tell you this. If Chris Godwin didn't go down with that season-ending injury, they could have been conference championship contenders. Let me tell you, they could have been the 3 seed or the 2 seed, depending on whether or not Chris Godwin would have been available. But right now, as far as the injuries go, I'm going to just stick with May win a playoff game. They are going against Washington, a team they beat in the season opener in Jaden Daniels' regular season debut. Both of those teams are spectacular. Like, especially offensively, those teams have some rising stars. Terry McLaurin on the Commanders, Mike Evans on the Bucks. Like, he's getting older, but he's still making a huge impact on that Bucks offense. And then the defenses, they have been solid. Like, I know they've had some inconsistencies. You know, Tampa Bay had the injuries, and Washington had a little bit of inconsistent defensive play. But they've been solid throughout the entire season, and this might be one of the toughest matchups to predict. Which takes me to my final team of the playoffs, which is Washington. And I gotta admit, this could be may win a playoff game territory right here. Like, I'm not saying these two teams are going to make the NFC Championship. Absolutely not. But these two teams could definitely win this game. This game between the Bucks and Commanders. These two teams could definitely win. Both of them have every reason to be able to win this game. It really is going to be who's going to show up when it matters most. And who's going to get it done in the crunch time. Let me tell you, Jane Daniels, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Terry McLaurin coming to a league of his own. He finally has a quarterback that can get him the ball. And the defense, I know they have Bobby Wagner. He's been still holding out strong. But they have some good players on that defense as well. Frankie Louvu, Jeremy Chin, good defensive line included. Jerome Payne and Jonathan Allen starting to come into his own. But that defensive line's getting older. I would think they would go defensive line or something in the draft. Like as a late round pick, but this team was very solid, absolutely. Big win over the Eagles definitely was a confidence booster, and let me tell you, back-to-back years of the number 2 pick winning a playoff game, it could definitely be possible. Those are my NFL playoff team rankings. Now, let's get into the wild card predictions. Here we go. We got 2 Saturday games, 3 Sunday games, and 1 Monday game for this wild card weekend. First up on the Saturday game list, we have the Chargers playing at the Texans, 5 versus 4 in the AFC. Let me tell you, Houston, he's been a solid team at times, but I gotta say, they haven't been playing like the true selves. I think the Chargers are gonna win this game 23-13. This game will be a defensive battle. I'm positive on that. Offense of the Chargers has gotten better. Defense has always been solid this entire season. It's really going to come down to whether Houston can keep up or not. I say no. In the Saturday night game, we have the 6th seed Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the 3 seed Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. A rematch from about a month ago, and I gotta say it. Pittsburgh is nowhere near how they started, and I think the Ravens are going to take full advantage of that. Let's say 28-17. Yeah, it's just, I know Baltimore lost to Pittsburgh the first time they played each other, but then Baltimore got together the second time around and they had their number. I think they're going to have their number again. Rushing offense of Baltimore is going to be really hard to stop. If Lamar Jackson can get past that pass defense, he should be in good shape. As far as Pittsburgh goes, I don't think they can win even with TJ Watt. Like, their offense is really going to be what it comes down to for Pittsburgh, but I just do not see Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, whichever quarterback they decide to roll with, get it done against Baltimore's incredibly improved defense. Pass defense has struggled this season, but as of late, they have definitely gotten better. And I can see the same thing happen here. Kicking off the Sunday slate, the 1 o'clock game on Sunday is between the Broncos, the 7th seed, and the 2 seed Bills. Sorry, Denver, I want to pick you, but I just can't pass on an elite AFC team like the Buffalo Bills. Like, they have just been solid on both sides of the ball. Denver, like, they have a very impressive defense, but the offense, considering how they did against Baltimore, I'm not so sure how they're going to do against Buffalo. Probably they'll make it close, kind of, but it's probably not going to matter in the end. So yeah, I say the Bills are going to win this one 31-28. I say this game is close. This game is a big shootout, surprisingly, and the Bills are going to get it done in the clutches of times. I mean, come on, this team beat the Chiefs. Bills beat the Chiefs starters, Broncos beat the Chiefs backups. I'll just say that. The Sunday 4 evening game, we got the 7 seed Packers playing at the 2 seed Philadelphia Eagles. I think even if Jordan Love is healthy, I don't think he can stop Philadelphia at all. They did play each other in Sao Paulo, I just remembered. That was when Jordan Love got injured the first time and Malik Willis had to play and turned into a pretty solid quarterback. Well, that's the running part, of course. But anyways, Philadelphia's team is just too well-balanced and too good. Like, defense is absolutely incredible. Offense is spectacular. Like, there's not much you can really do against Philadelphia. This team could be a Super Bowl team for the second time in 3 years. Yeah, Jalen Hurts had 2 very good seasons. Well, especially his team seasons. He had a really spectacular 22-2 season. He didn't do as great in 2024 this season, but he's still been very, very good. Don't get me started about Saquon. That man, 2,000 yards in his first year with Philly? Just blows your mind. Like, this team is a Super Bowl contender, and this game will prove why. I'm going to say Philadelphia wins this game by a score of 34-20. This game might not even be close. Sunday night game, we got the 6-seeded Washington Commanders playing at the 3-seed Tampa Bay Bucks. Now, this game is one of the 2 toughest to really decide, especially in the NFC, because this could really go either way, both of them, these last 2. Let me tell you, 2 very good, high-powered offenses really comes down to defense, in my opinion. I love Washington, I love Jane Daniels, love the work that Dan Quinn has been putting into this Washington team, but I gotta roll with Tampa Bay. Man, Tampa Bay is going to win this one by a score of 34-31. This game could come down to the wire. Baker has just been absolutely solid. He's been one of the best quarterbacks, not only in the NFC, but also the NFL entirely. Safe to mention that the defense definitely got healthy, and they've proven why they could be a very good unit in the clutches of time. Washington defense is good too. I'm not going to discredit them for that. It's just Tampa Bay has been on an absolute tear this entire last half of the season. Ever since they lost to Dallas, they lost to Dallas, and ever since then they've been playing pissed. And I could see them absolutely decimating Washington and potentially sparking an upset against either one of those top 2 teams. Man, we'll just have to see. And in the final game of this Wild Card Fest on Monday Night Football, we have the 5-seed Minnesota Vikings against the 4-seed LA Rams. Fun fact, the Vikings' 3 losses were twice against Detroit and once against the Rams in LA. Sure, the Rams got away with a blatant face mask for safety, but they still won. That's really all that matters in this league. Ooh, I gotta be honest, this is a tough one as well, because, a lot of people would say Minnesota is gonna be pissed off, but at the same time, the Rams have been just red hot. I'm telling you, I don't know why, but I think the Rams are gonna pull this off at home and make sure they get into the divisional round. Here's the thing about Minnesota, like, they have been very solid all season, except against Detroit. They made a close one game against Detroit, but then the last game of the season, they got smacked. Like, Sam Darnold put up a goose egg. As far as the Rams go, Matt Stafford wants to get revenge on Detroit, but he's got to get through Minnesota first, and he's going to be extremely motivated. Both these quarterbacks really are going to be extremely motivated to play either Detroit or Philly again. I am really excited to see how both of these teams do, and but this game really depends on who's going to want it more, and this game's really going to determine who is really going to have the best chance of pulling an upset against either the Lions or the Eagles. I already said it, both of those 2 teams are conference championship contenders, and you're going to see why when these playoffs go on. And that is going to do it for this episode of Grizzly Talks Football. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button down there, like I said before, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video. This is the Grizz, and that's all from me. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace.